stick to it. But here we are with our weekly live. Just thought we'd start off in the showroom here with all these cool neon signs that we have up for sale. If you are local, we're going to do a Facebook Live for more of the local people soon too. But if you are local, as you all know now, we're moving. So aside from the neons and the man cave type stuff, any part that we have, we are selling at cost or below cost. Because with the move, we won't be selling parts to the retail public. We'll just be, selling parts to our builds. So if we're using it and installing it, that's the type of parts we'll be doing. But we're working with Hot Rods and Classics as in retail for parts. So anybody coming in to look to buy something like a Wilwood caliper or these parts we have laying around, we'll be sending you over to Hot Rods and Classics. We won't be servicing that part of the industry anymore. So anything that we have leftover parts, we have new parts, we have parts that we put on for a car show and then taken off and changed things, all sorts of things we have laying around. So if you follow us on our Stone Speed Shop Facebook, you will see more of it. I'm going to go more in depth where I can do a live by myself, and I'm going to go to our storage units, I'm going to go through our sheds, everything, and just kind of video what we have, and then you'll be able to email Jessica in parts and get pricing and ask some questions. But for now, we're just going to do our walkthrough and show you what's going on. So a few good things going on in the shop right now, so we'll head out there and show you. So here we have this little MG. It's in for a running concern. It just stalls on the customer every once in a while, so the guys have been working on that. Not 100% sure where we're at with it. It just came in yesterday, but it's a nice, clean, restored car. The customer just bought it and brought it into us to kind of go through it and try and get it running good for them. And over here, before John fires up and drives on, I guess you're getting ready for a road test. So this car, you've probably seen it around here for a little bit. We had the transmission out. It had a really wore out fork. We pulled it out for leaks. So we replaced the fork and the fork bushings on both the forks and the transmission, resealed it all, and got it back together. But John, you also have the engine out and all resealed as well, right? It had steering shafts that were adjusted wrong and hitting the oil pan and a few different things. So we've addressed all that and just tied up all the leaks and stuff. So he's just left the clutch and did a once over. So it's going to head onto the road. So we'll probably hear it fire up in the background. So we'll let him do his thing. And over here we have the 33 Vicky you would have seen last week. So all the bushings were hammered out in all the 4 bars and anything in the rear. We've spent hours looking for new bushings for these coilovers, and we can not find anything. So we have pieces of it actually over here. So that's how rotten all the bushings were for these coilovers, but they're such an odd size that we can't find anything that's a guaranteed fit. We found some things in the US that might work, but by the time we get the bushings and screw around with them, this car was, the tires on the car are from like 1994. So the odds are we start driving this thing more often if someone drives it as their hot rod every day. We spend all that time and money, and the seals are probably going to go out anyway. So we found some QA1s for it and swapping them over to QA1. So it'll have the single adjustment, which also the front has. We'll get back to that in a second. He's just firing up the valve, so we'll watch him leave. The car sounds so good. Not to stall it while he's on camera. So yeah, so on the front of this car, actually we'll go over here. It has, I don't know what brand they are, but it looks like a TCI chassis, but it does have an adjustment on the upper side. So it has a single adjustment coilover on the front, and then they're an actual billet aluminum style, like a QA1. So that's why we went in the back with the QA1s. So I've just mocked up one in here right now. It's not fully tightened yet, but that's now the QA1 with the single adjustment on the bottom. And they're a little bit longer because this was hitting the floor. You can see the drive shaft had hit the top of the the dry shaft loop. So we'll be able to adjust things a little better. And then it could have been that these were just too soft, and this having a rebound adjustment will be able to stiffen up that ride. So you might be able to maintain, or we might be able to maintain the ride height and not have to worry about that hitting. But once we get it all dialed in and we're happy with it, we'll put some bump blocks in it as well, so it can't hit the floor and tear out the drive line, because we know we've had that issue before. So yeah, so he's on that road test. Over here we have one of Fontaine's newest vehicles to his fleet, I believe. He just bought it, and the water pump blew out of it and blew the belts off and everything. So we got it in for him, and we are going to go right through it and do a bunch of stuff that he's allowed us to do. So I just realized music's playing, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully it's not loud enough. It's too noisy enough.
Should be fine.
But, so yeah. So Cameron is working on that. Cameron's a new hire here. Not sure how camera shy he is yet, but we'll see if he dodges you on the camera. Yeah, so he's doing a ton of work with this brake, suspension, and everything he needs on the engine. We're still waiting on the dry shaft for this. I think all we've done since last week was the hood got put on. That's about that. Over here we have a Cadillac that we've done an engine and transmission in a long time ago, and it's got an intermittent tick sound. We're not sure if it's a lifter or if it's in the rocker rail assembly. It almost sounds like a Ford Ranger, how they'll have the cam bearing turn and then choke the oil off, and then it'll go away again. So it'll be perfectly quiet, and then it'll just come on. So Dave's figuring out the how to make it do it kind of consistently, so then we can figure out how to fix it. So that's what he's working on now, as well as it's got a weird surge while driving it, but it feels more like a driveline bind up. So he was just running it on the hoist to try and find that issue. And then over here we finally got the motor mount fiasco kind of figured out on the engine for the 05 Mustang. So the Mustang's back, and just getting ready to put it in now. Yeah, Oscar's got it ready. You want to lift it up so I can show them the mounts? So, yeah, we also built this real cool lift thing for the forklift, because you're not legally allowed to put a hole in a fork on a forklift. That's good there. You're not allowed to put a hole in a forklift. So our old forklift was condemned. Not worth fixing, but this one we can't put a hole in the fork, so we built this apparatus. So anyway, here's the mount. So what we have is this mount is off of the 05 Mustang block. And as you can see, it just bolts on with 4 bolts, but on this block, there's no bolt holes back here. So what I came up with for an idea was these aluminum brackets are so thick that we milled a 1/4 inch off the brackets and then made a mount bracket that's another 1/4 inch plate, and adapted it out to where this turns out to be a 2007 Explorer 4.6. And the mounts back here. And if we would have got the Explorer mounts, is that what you're thinking, they don't work like this. They basically house a mount here, and then the bracketry's in the car. So this is a total different setup. So with taking a 1/4 inch off the aluminum bracket and then adding a 1/4 inch to the mount, everything should be exactly where it was before. And then on this side, it's the same deal, except we were only short 1 bolt hole, and that's down here. Right there. So we added it here. It seemed like this engine actually only had 3 solid mount spots, and then there was a 4th spot here, but it was only an 8, like an 8 mil bolt versus the 10. Yeah. So, but we thought, you know what? If it was just a stock engine in a car that doesn't get driven hard, probably could have just got away with bolting the bracket on. But for the time it took, we made another bracket, and it's got 4 attachments. So that took us a few hours, but it should drop right in, and we should be good to go. So Oscar's working on that now. It should be dropping in any second. So, and yeah, you can see it just drops down on these pin mounts here underneath the headers, where the trucks and the Explorers have a traditional style engine mount. So yeah, so that's going together now. Yeah, I think that's the old engine. I don't think there's much going on out back. I spent the morning cleaning all this up, so we're starting to get things figured out for the move, so we can't have a bunch of junk laying around. But we've got a couple modern vehicles that we're fixing out back here, and you've seen the duster before. I'm not sure. I think we're just waiting on parts for it. So, yeah, we'll head down to the hot rod shop and see what's going on here. Actually, let's see. Dave might have put the parts away, actually. The Camaro that you would have seen last week, we got the engine apart. Yeah, the crank is the only thing sitting in here. So we had some broken pistons. Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
How many pistons were broken in that Camaro?
The obvious ones are 3.
3 obvious ones?
Yeah.
Okay, and the other... It could have been, the other 5 could have cracks and stuff, but little broken lands. So we have the engine block over at NC Engines, which is the engine shop behind Courtney's here. And he's checked it out. He found a little bit of taper in one of the cylinders. So we have to bore it 5 over and then we'll order all the stuff from Texas Speed to get that back together. So the car is in storage and the engine block's out for machining. It'll be a couple of weeks before we get parts from the US anyway, so yeah. Yeah, we have to get a hold of getting these signs where the landlord's okay with us putting a "We Are Moving" sign underneath.
Oh.